Let's get a few seconds here. All right, guys. We're here with Scott Hudson, handsome Scott Hudson. How's it going, man? How's it going? How's the camp going, and how you feeling leading up to your fight this weekend, man?
Fantastic, man. Yeah, training camp's been plugging along, like, pretty ordinary, just getting the work in. No, surprises or nothing terrible's come up, no injuries. So it's kind of just run of the mill, kind of stock on my end, which is not the most exciting always, but I mean, it's good work and it is what it is. So I just gotta, spend this next week to stay sharp and cut the weight, and then get it there, put on a show on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've watched your fights at the BTC. You fought there a few times. Your most recent fight was at XFC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're coming off a five fight win streak. Previous to that, you had a loss, but then you had 2 wins before that. Your record is, sorry, man. I should have memorized this stuff. I always say I do, but then I forget. You're 12-5. So that's a great record, especially for lightweight. You're ranked number 2 in Ontario Pro Lightweights. I see that here. The number 4 in Canada Pro Lightweight. So impressive record all around, man. So all the different promotions that you fought under, BTC, XFC most recently, and upcoming Tarpsall Fight Club. I know you can't speak to that because you haven't been there at the event yet, but you can speak to how they treated you upcoming. What are some, I like to ask all the people I have on, what are some key differences, like not specifically, but like just generally, what are some differences you see the way that you're treated as a fighter by these different promotions?
I mean, all I can really ask is that you're a straight shooter, you know what I mean? And you do the things you say you're going to do that we agree on, and we have no problems, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you're pretty black and white with me, that's all I ask. For better or worse, like if you promise shit and you come through with shit, hey, it is what it is. If you promise 100% and you give 100%, that's what it is. But the only thing I expect out of a promoter is to do the things you say you're going to do. If you go above and beyond that, that's going to go a long way in regards to the fighters. But I mean, for the most part, I'm happy with you as long as you fulfill your end of the bargain, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, right? Just honesty is key, right? Don't fuck around. Don't fuck around with you. You don't fuck around with them, basically. So I'm looking at you have 2 of your recent most 5 wins. 2 of them are both by a guillotine choke, which is kind of funny, right? Because round 2 and round 3. So obviously mixed martial arts, everyone knows this, but some people don't that listen. Like combination of all the martial arts. What would you choose as your favorite to train in? Whether it be BJJ, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling. Like what do you most enjoy training as, or do you enjoy them all?
Honestly, like I kind of, the reason that I wanted to pursue professional mixed martial arts, because there was a time when I considered going like committing to pro Muay Thai.
Okay.
But the reason that I wanted to do MMA is just funner to train. There's more variety.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I look forward to most after fights is just getting back into straight jiu-jitsu, just like literally recreational classes where I can show up and be a student and roll a lot. You know what I mean? And not have to worry about like being positionally sound and wrestling hard and maintaining top position and all that stuff, all the stuff that's like extremely important in MMA. I wanted to just get back to on sort of the martial arts side and enjoy training a little bit better and not have to worry about, that, and like sparring obviously is a lot of fun. So those are 2 things that I look forward to.
Yeah, sometimes, like all the intensity of a fight is good to get back to that fundamentals jiu-jitsu, a lot of brotherhood. I feel like I train jiu-jitsu, like all the guys there, we all know each other. Like there's no animosities, no competition, right? Like it's the same thing in boxing, but like the thing I like about jiu-jitsu is you can spar as hard as you want and relatively not, the risk of injury is so low, right? There's no risk getting knocked out.
I think one of the beauties of jiu-jitsu is that like you spar almost every practice.
Yep.
Or you roll every practice. So you can literally take what you learned that day and put it into practice several minutes later. Yeah. Whereas with kickboxing and stuff like that, you can spar, as long as you got good training partners, this and that. But I mean, for the most part, I really only spar once a week. Maybe like I'll have another day, do a few rounds of tech sparring and stuff like that. But for the most part, I've like dialed down my sparring quite a bit. And in between fights, I might go a month without sparring, and just to give my body a little bit of a break, but also to give my head a little bit of a break, right? Like you don't want to be able to, or you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're taking a lot of damage or you're sparring when you're not super sharp. And I think that for like the longevity of yourself as a martial artist, jiu-jitsu is great because you can literally spar every single day for the rest of
Yeah.
your life, for the most part, right? It's great.
And yeah, 60, 65, like older people, like it's crazy. You don't see 65-year-olds like sparring and boxing against like younger guys. It's crazy. Speaking of, talking about sparring, we hear a lot of fighters like their methods on sparring and training camps. One side we have, guys, typically like a lot of the older guys in MMA, but UFC, but MMA in general, right, that like to spar often. But then you get these guys like Max Holloway and Robbie Lawler saying they don't spar that often. I think Max Holloway said he only sparred like once during his most recent camp when he fought Yair Rodriguez. Where do you, like, you kind of explained it there in your answer, but just to clarify, where do you lie? Do you think there's a healthy balance, or do you think there's benefits to sparring all the time and sparring not at all? Or do you find there's a healthy balance in between?
Yeah, I think earlier on in your career, you got to spar more because you need to build the skill. Like there's got to be a lot more skill development. Whereas for someone like me, like I'm 34 years old, I've been in this game for a minute now, and like the reasons that I spar is mostly, to get the intensity of a fight, some conditioning, and specifically working on your timing. That can't be with just drilling, right?
Yeah.
And getting that quick timing, like have an opponent that, or a sparring partner that's really coming for you and really going to give you an honest look with speed. It's not necessarily I have to worry about the power, getting fucking crunched or anything like that while I'm sparring,
Yeah.
but I want to be able to see somebody's top speed. I want to be able to see somebody be able to elevate that intensity to sort of mimic a fight, but you don't need to murder each other.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's funny, you get those guys that either they haven't sparred before, they're coming over from another gym, and there's always that, every now and then you get the one asshole always like, oh, I gotta prove I'm the top guy here, and it's never a fun time that way. So your upcoming fight against Dominic Clark, like we said, at Tarps Off Fight Club 1, Brawl by the Falls. Not to reveal too much about yourself and what your plan is, but what does your training camp look like upcoming to this fight?
Yeah, so we have a team of fighters that we split our time. Most of us are like our group like is situated in Oakville at Aegis MMA, formerly Parabellum MMA.
Okay.
And we cross train with Niagara Top Team quite a bit. So I go out there and wrestle with Chris Prickett and spar with a lot of those guys.
Fucking killers
And
over there.
we've kind of intersecting for years now, and it's been a great relationship. So our coaches have practice, like a set pro practice every single day, where we have a day of wrestling, a day of jiu-jitsu, a day of striking, a day of sparring, like another day of jiu-jitsu, and then I'll have like a couple extra pad work sessions in there as well. And then the rest of it is basically up to me. So, given what I need at the time, my strength and conditioning is in there a couple times a week, and my road work is in there a couple times a week. And so like the bulk of my training is essentially taken care of for me. I just got to show up, coaches take care of it, which is really nice and something that I didn't have earlier on in my career. So it's nice that it takes all the guesswork out of it. And as far as game planning for opponents and stuff like that, we just let the coaches take care of it and let that show up in practice. And we're just blessed to have, good training partners, good coaches, and a system where it's very good for development, not just for myself to get my reps in, but for a lot of the younger fighters as well are really making big strides under our system. So it's really good to see. And so the bulk of my training is taken care of, and then I just basically fill the gaps on my own.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's a good, like, there's a healthy balance too, right? We talk about healthy balances between, having you, like, the fight camp based around you and you control everything, and then having other people control it for you. So it's good to have that healthy balance in there, like you said. What do you think of, speaking of your own gym, Niagara Top Team Body of Four? What do you have to say about, the rise of, not the rise, it's always kind of been there, but recently with COVID ending, like the rise of the talent coming out of Canada? We have Jasmine, who just got onto the UFC. We have yourself. We have Aaron Jeffries. We have T-Shay. You can shout out some guys at your gym. What do you have to say about the rise, like, of the, like, local fighters, bringing it to the main level?
So it's actually funny you said that because like when Canada first started putting on events, like when they started going like after COVID, because there was like over a year where there wasn't events at all,
Right.
and then they started having a few events in the West Coast or out west, and the Ontario fighters didn't do very well. Like it took a little bit. It was obvious that they were like kind of a step behind, and now it's come full circle where like at least the guys in and around our team are fucking crushing, and
Yeah.
it's good to see. We've really, man, like people don't know that during COVID, like I opened up a small gym that I could train out of myself and train some clients out of and stuff like that. And a lot of our team was doing work in literally like a fucking 500 square foot gym.
Yeah. It was like
And
underground.
it was not ideal, but we were training every day and we did what we had to do. And now, and we're going to Niagara quite a bit as well to get work in that room, and a lot of travel. And but now with Aegis open up, we've got like a home for our team, and things have really settled in. And yeah, we're ready to go. Like we're definitely well prepared. And I mean, the top, I think the top guys in the country really show where they stand internationally when they fight either in the UFC or they fight abroad, or someone like for me, for example, where for the most part opponents need to be brought in from the States or from wherever to compete, right? Like I think we show like, you know, where we stand against, you know, top ranked American or international talent. Like I think we should be, you know, proud of ourselves and where we stack up, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's been really exciting. Like, like you said, COVID kind of fucked all of us, right? Fucked you as the fighters for not being able to fight, and it really fucked us over as fans. Like, like we had the UFC and all, but it's always good. It's always nice to have that, on the not regional shows, but like local shows, like
Yep.
BTC, Tarps Off Fight. There's Samurai Fight Club, and I
Yep.
think there's another one. Forget the name. It's on the West Coast. But yeah, it's really exciting to see. So your opponent Dominic Clark, like I was talking about earlier, what are some? Obviously, I'm assuming you've studied him, you've watched some of his tapes. What are some things that you could see that you hope to capitalize on or expose on in your fight this Saturday?
Yeah, so Dominic Clark, he's a veteran. He's got a ton of fights. He's really well rounded. I think that the things that stand out to me, just on the surface, are that there's a couple things. One, I'm going to be quite a bit taller than him, so like the utilization of my range is going to be key. And another thing is that despite the experience that he has, like sometimes he like makes these bizarre mistakes in fights that like lead to him getting finished, right? And I think
Yeah,
that like a big part of my game is predicated on like seeking out people's weaknesses. And if he opens a massive door for me to see
yeah,
that, it's gonna be tough for him. And I think that I one of my strengths is kind of providing an avenue for people to do that for me. So if that opportunity presents itself, I think I'll be able to execute. And like I mean, yeah, Dominic's like I have a lot of respect for this guy. He's a good fighter. He's been around the block. He's fought really good guys. He's beat really good guys. Um, and I think the main determining factor in this fight is going to come down to execution. I mean, skill for skill, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Obviously, I think I'm better. I'm sure he thinks he's better,
yeah.
and I think that it's going to come down to execution. You know what I mean? So just I got to go out there. I got to have confidence in myself. But the most important part is I gotta execute.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. That main event, man. You and Dominic, it's gonna be fireworks, man. I'm impressed with the card they built. Not Tarps Off Fight Club within the short amount of time that was from announcing that they're having the event. I'm sure they had fights on the card before they publicly announced it, but like from the creation to putting on the first event, I was talking to Chris last week. Yeah. So speaking of, we kind of talked about early in the show all the different fight clubs you fought at, fight promotions, excuse me. So with your upcoming fight, Tarps Off Fight Club, what can you say to the way you've been treated, leading up to the fights, in preparation, just to speak to that and what experience you've had with those guys.
Man, it's been great so far. They've been really, transparent and helping me
Yeah.
with anything that I need. But to be honest, like I don't know, like I don't think they're gonna experience a lot of the same problems with me that they do with other people. Like I'm a professional. I take this
Yeah.
shit really seriously. Um, like I think that like having a lot of promotions around is good. I think the competition is good.
Yeah.
Like I want to be an ambassador for Canadian MMA, and I want to build this community up. I want to make it good for fans. I want to make it a good experience for people to come and watch fights. And I mean, I'm willing to work with whoever's willing to work with me, and they've been great so far. You know what I mean? I think I hope that I'm pretty low maintenance and like whatever, but they're giving me a platform. You know, they're giving me a title shot, and they're giving me a main event spot, which is what I want. I want big fights, and you know, I'm gonna go where these fights are. So like they've been great. They've been great, and I think they're gonna do a really good job. And I'm really excited to represent them on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Competition is definitely good. I was talking to Chris about this last week too. For the most part, we basically had one promotion in Ontario. Not that it was a bad thing. They put on great fights, but it's good to see, like more competition, drives each individual promotion to put on better things and work harder. So it's really beneficial for both the fighters and the fans, as myself. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much all the questions. But so, do you have anyone you want to plug right now? Any sponsors? Anyone you'd like to shout out before we end it, or?
Man, of course. Anytime I get a chance to shout out my sponsors, for sure. I want to thank Kimura Wear, who does all my gear. Key Auto Approvals for sponsoring me for this fight. I'm gonna forget so many people. ANS Performance, Thick Boy Fight Club, all of my gyms, HS MMA, Niagara Top Team. Yeah, just thank you. I've gotten a ton of support for this fight. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready, and I'm excited. It's fight week. Tomorrow morning, and I get to really dial it in and stay focused, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for giving your time. I know you're busy week before the fight. Hope it didn't take much of your time. Thanks to everyone listening, guys. Just so you guys know, Scott Hudson will be main eventing Brawl by the Falls 1, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Scotiabank Convention Center. Buy your tickets at fallsconventions.com. If not, you can order the paper for $20 on Fight. I think it's $20, something around that. Don't be fucking cheap, guys. Buy the ticket. Fight TV. Scott, thanks for talking with me, and I'll see you on Friday at the press conference and then at the fights on Saturday, man.
Appreciate it, Ryan.